In today's video, we're going to work together on the GCP Load Balancer that you can see here with the design and the Terraform code. As a quick reminder, you can use Brainbow to design, manage and deploy all your cloud infrastructures, either using Azure, AWS, OCI, GCP or Scaleway. You have three ways to get started on Brainbow, either by using templates, building new cloud infrastructure from scratch, or importing your Terraform code. Here on Brainboard, we have also improved the left bar. For example, as you can see, if you want to work on modules, then you can import all your modules by specifying the module name and importing them either from registry, from Git or from files. Then, once it's done, you can also build your own module catalog here. You can work on variables, locals, and output. Here, you have also all of these resources that you can also find at your cloud providers and on Terraform: compute, network, storage, database, security identity, tools, AI, analytics, application, IoT, and other. Here, for example, on Azure, you can find, here if you switch to Azure, you can find compute, network, storage, database, security identity, tools, AI and ML, analytics, application, IoT, and other. Let's say, for example, that you would like to use compute, then you simply need to choose the one you want, and to use it, simply need to drag and drop it. Once you drag and drop your resource, the Terraform code will be automatically generated from your design. Here, for example, on AWS, now we switch to AWS here, you have same thing: compute, network, storage, database, security identity, tools, AI, analytics, application, IoT, and other. Same thing, use, for example, auto-scaling here, drag and drop the resource you want and configure it with the ID card. When I speak about ID card, for example, is that here, simply need to open it and then you can configure it with requirement parameter, advanced configuration, and the meta arguments of Terraform count, depends on, and for each. Now let's go back to our use case, GCP. So here we go, architecture selector, and then we have it here. Now what we can do is that we can look also at all of our Terraform files. You have the main.tf here with all your Terraform code here. You have the outputs that I showed you earlier. You also have the provider. If you want to customize it, it's very easy. Simply need to write your own custom Terraform provider here. You also have your variables, so you can either use variables here or the command. So here, simply variables. Then here, this is where you need to manage and create all your variables, either at the organization level, project, environment, architectures. Here, for example, for this specific architecture, we have created 22 variables. Here, you simply need to specify the name, the scope, the type. For example, here it's a bool. You either add a value or a default, and you can also add the description if you want, and flag the value of this variable as sensitive if you want. If you do it, then you will find this value in the Terraform TFRs. Now, for example, for the backend, here you have two options. Even you want to do it at the organization level, and you can use either S3, Blob Storage, Terraform Cloud, or Brainbow backend, or you want to use a remote backend per architecture. Very easy, simply need to go back to the design. Then here you go to settings, and then you specify the one you want per architecture. You can also find all your Terraform versions here. Now that I showed you everything here in terms of design, in terms of Terraform code, let's say that you would like to make sure that the Terraform code, which has automatically been generated from the design, is actually valid. So here you go to one action, and then you can do Terraform commands from Terraform validate, Terraform plan, Terraform apply, and Terraform destroy. Now let's say that you would like to do pull request. Here you can choose either GitHub, ADO, Bitbucket, or GitLab. You simply need to open the Git settings, and then you set up the credentials. Same thing for the cloud providers. Here we're working on GCP, so you simply need to specify all of these fields. Then you can invite all your team members to join the organization by specifying their email address and their roles. Once it's done, then you can create different teams. And then you can create a different project. Here. Now, you go back to the design area and then you open the architecture selector. This is the way you will structure the work that you will do on Brainboard. So here you have different projects from Brainboard community to use cases. In each project you have different environment from dev to webinars, and in each environment you have different architectures. Here, for example, what you can do is that you can also modify the status of the architecture from work in progress to locked. You can add the description and the tags. Then, once it's done, you can also create and design your own CI/CD. So here we do it. New workflow. Here is health check monitoring. And then you can add a description. Now what we can do is that we can use all of these plugins. They are open source. So here, for example, we do a code validation with Terraform plan. Then here, what we need to do is Tfsec. Here, we will run Tfsec to detect any potential vulnerabilities on your Terraform code. So here is security check. Then here, we run Infracost. So here is for cost analysis. Here, API key is this one. Now, what we can do is that we can either use emails, Slack or Teams to notify our team members. So here is Cloud Architects. Here, this email address. And here, check security and cost of the infrastructure. Then we receive the email. Now what we can do is that we can use the pull request for documentation. We can use GitLab. Here project, we can use Brainboard demo. Here is for documentation purposes. Here is GCP LB. Here in case ignore failure. Here is, for example, we can send an email for, again, Cloud Architect. An example again. Here, check the PR for documentation. Good. Now what we can do is that we do Terraform apply. We provision infrastructure, provision GCP LB. Here we require approval, this person, and then we save and close. Now we have very much designed our CI/CD. Here we can add the description. We can also do automated check on a regular basis, daily, weekly, monthly, depending on the way you work on your infrastructure. And then we run the pipeline. Here you will look at the status of each task. As you can see, is pending, and then you will have the output here. As you can see, it's running. So here we have the output of the plan is that we have 11 resources to add, 0 to change, 0 to destroy. Now these two tasks are pending, they're running here. Here, security check is valid, nothing to declare, everything is good. Cost analysis is that we have here, overall total cost is $21. Here, the name, the monthly quantity unit, and the monthly cost. Here, Cloud Architect, I received the email. Here, for documentation purposes, we are going to look at the PR. Just in case we have an issue, then we ask already the Cloud Architect to go back to Brainboard and make sure that it's working perfectly. So now it's running. Here it failed. No worries. The Cloud Architect will go back to Brainboard and make sure that the PR is actually working. And here we provision GCP and we ask one of our team members to go back to Brainboard and approve the task. Now what we have is that we have the status, we have the pipeline, here pull request documentation, The workflow is called health check monitoring. We're good. Here, for example, we can add here our workflow. We can use and add a different pipeline for drift detection. Here we have added the description, the scheduled, as you can see. So here we have two pipelines. Let's say now that you would like to convert it into a template. Health check monitoring. We're good. Clone it. Once it's cloned, then you can go to templates, and then you can find all of your CI/CD workflow here. For example, health check monitoring. Now let's say that you would like to use another workflow. You can do that here. Create a workflow from the template, and then, for example, here, this is a template that we have created, and that you can create as well if you want with different plugins. For example, Terraform commands with Terraform plan, Infracost, security check, and here OPA. Here Slack, apply an approval, and then Slack again. Now we are good. What we can do is that we go to the design. Now we go to the architecture selector. What we do is that we convert it into a template. Visibility public. Here is GCP is called GCP LB health monitoring. So here we copy the name to be able to find it very fast. Here we go to production, open the environment, we go to templates. Another team member would like to use it. Very easy. Simply need to look for the template that we have just created and then clone the template into a new architecture. So like that, you can have a team that is actually creating all of the cloud infrastructures and another team who is using and consuming the work of another team and building on top of that. So if you have any questions, here we have included as well the documentation, but you can also ping us directly here, ask us anything, or you can directly ping me on LinkedIn, and I will be happy to help you build your own cloud infrastructures on Brainboard. So, quick reminder, you use Brainboard to design, manage, and deploy all your cloud infrastructures. You have all the documentation, all your team, and all your project within the same platform. I hope this video has been useful for you, and again, I'm happy to help you. Have a good day.